Reading through the Bible in a year, October 25th, 2 Kings chapter 6, 1 Timothy chapter 3, Daniel 10, and Psalms 119, verses 1 through 24. And the sons of the prophets said to Elisha, Behold now, the place before you where we are living is too limited for us. Please, let us go to the Jordan, each of us, and take from there a beam, and let us go to make a place there for ourselves where we may live. So he said, Go. Then one answered and said, Please be willing to go up with your servants. And he answered and said, I shall go. So he went with them, and they came to the Jordan to cut down trees. Now it happened that as one was felling a beam, the axe head fell into the water, and he cried out and said, Alas, my master, for it was borrowed. Then the man of God said, Where did it fall? When he showed him the place, he cut off a stick and threw it in there, and made the iron float. And he said, Take it up for yourself. So he sent forth his hand and took it. Now, the king of Aram was warring against Israel, and he counseled with his servants, saying, In such and such a place shall be my camp. And the man of God sent word to the king of Israel, saying, Beware that you do not go past this place, for the Arameans are coming down from there. And the king of Israel sent to the place about which the man of God had told him. Thus he warned him, so that he guarded himself there, more than once or twice. Then the heart of the king of Aram was enraged over this thing, and he called his servants and said to them, Will you not tell me which of us is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, No, my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet who is in Israel tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. So he said, Go and see where he is, that I may send and take him. And it was told to him, saying, Behold, he is in Dothan. So he sent horses and chariots and a heavy military force there, and they came by night and surrounded the city. Then the attendant of the man of God arose early and went out. Behold, an entire military force with horses and chariots was all around the city. And his young man said to him, Alas, my master, what shall we do? So he said, Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Then Elisha prayed and said, O Yahweh, I pray, open his eyes that he may see. And Yahweh opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. And they came down to him, and Elisha prayed to Yahweh and said, Strike this people with blindness, I pray. So he struck them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. Then Elisha said to them, This is not the way, and this is not the city. Walk after me, and I will walk you over to the man whom you seek. And he walked them over to Samaria. Sorry, I think that's hilarious. Okay. Now it happened. Hold on, bringing up the notes here so we don't lose any. There we go. Yep. Now it happened that when they had come into Samaria, that Elisha said, O Yahweh, open the eyes of these men that they may see. So Yahweh opened their eyes, and they saw, and behold, they were in the middle of Samaria. Then the king of Israel, when he saw them, said to Elisha, My father, shall I strike them down? Shall I strike them down? And he said, You shall not strike them down. Would you strike down those whom you have taken captive with your sword and bow? Set bread and water before them, that they may eat and drink and walk back to their master. So he prepared a great feast for them. When they had eaten and drunk, he sent them away. And they went to their master. And the marauding bands of Arameans did not come again into the land of Israel. Now it happened afterward that Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, gathered all his military camp and went up and besieged Samaria. Now there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it, until a donkey's head was sold for 80 shekels of silver, and a fourth of a cub of a dove's dung was sold for 5 shekels of silver. As the king of Israel was passing by on the wall, a woman cried out to him, saying, Save my lord, O king. And he said, If Yahweh does not save you, from where shall I save you? From the threshing floor? From your winepress? And the king said to her, What is the matter with you? And she said, Well, this woman said to me, Give me your son that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and ate him. And I said to her on the next day, Give your son so that we may eat him. But she has hidden her son. Now it happened that when the king heard the words of the woman, he tore his clothing. Now he was passing by on the wall, and the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth beneath on his body. Then he said, May God do to me and may God do so to me, and more also, if the head of Elisha the son of Shaphat remains on him today. Now Elijah was sitting in his house, and his elders were sitting with him. And the king sent a man from his presence, but before the messengers came to him, he said to the elders, Do you see how this son of a murderer has sent to take my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door, and hold the door shut against him. Is not the sound of his master's feet behind him? While he was still speaking with them, behold, the messenger came down and said to him, and he said, Behold, this evil is from Yahweh. Why should I wait for Yahweh any longer? More to this story comes tomorrow. Making sure we don't lose the notes. Nope. Let's move on to 1 Timothy chapter 3. Again, lots of good notes in this section. Strongly recommend that you pause and read them. Paul continues. It is a trustworthy saying that if any man aspires to the office of overseer, that is, elder, as an elder of your church, he desires a good work. However, an overseer then must be above reproach, the husband of one wife, temperate, sensible, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not addicted to wine or pugnacious, but considerate, peaceable, free from the love of money, leading his own household well, having his children in submission with all dignity. But if a man does not know how to lead his own household, how will he take care of the church of God? And not a new convert, so that he will not become conceited and fall into the condemnation of the devil. And he must have a good reputation with those outside the church, so that he will not fall into reproach and the snare of the devil. Deacons, likewise, must be dignified, not double-tongued, not indulging in much wine, not fond of dishonest gain, but holding to the mystery of the faith with a clear conscience. And these men must also first be tested, and let them serve as deacons if they are beyond reproach. Women must likewise be dignified, not malicious gossips, but temperate, faithful in all things. Deacons must be wives. Deacons must be husbands of only one wife, leading their children and their households well. For those who have served well as deacons obtain for themselves a high standing and great boldness in the faith that is in Christ Jesus. I am writing these things to you, hoping to come to you soon. But in case I am delayed, I write so that you will know how one ought to conduct himself in the household of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and support or buttress of the truth. And by common confession, great is the mystery of godliness. He who was manifested in the flesh was vindicated in the spirit, seen by angels, proclaimed among the nations, believed on in the world, and taken up in glory. Pulling in more than notes here for you. Again, there's a lot of notes in this section, as I mentioned. Strongly recommend pausing and reading through all of them. Here we go. And there they are. Now Daniel chapter 10. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, word was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belteshazzar. And the word was true, and one of great conflict, But he understood the word and had an understanding of what had appeared. In those days, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 entire weeks. I did not eat any tasty food, nor did meat or wine enter my mouth, nor did I use any ointment at all until the entire 3 weeks were fulfilled. And on the 24th day of the first month, while I was by the bank of the great river, that is, the Tigris, I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there was a certain man dressed in linen, whose loins were girded with a belt of pure fine gold of Uphaz. His body was also like beryl, and his face had the appearance of lightning. His eyes were like flaming torches, and his arms and feet like the gleam of burnished bronze. And the sound of his words was like the sound of a multitude. Now I, Daniel, alone saw the vision that appeared, but the men who were with me did not see the vision that had appeared. Nevertheless, a great terror fell upon them, and they ran away to hide themselves. So I alone remained and saw this great vision that appeared. Yet no might remained in me, for my outward splendor turned to a deathly pallor, and I retained no might. But I heard the sound of his words, and as soon as I heard the sound of his words, I fell into a deep sleep on my face, with my face to the ground. Then, behold, a hand touched me, and set me shaking on my hands and knees. And he said to me, O Daniel, man of high esteem, understand the words that I am about to speak to you, and stand upright. For I have now been sent to you. And when he had spoken this word to me, I stood up, trembling. Then he said to me, Do not be afraid, Daniel, for from the first day that you gave your heart to understand this and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia was standing against me for 21 days. Then behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me. Now, I had been left there with the kings of Persia. Now, I have come to give you an understanding of what will happen to your people in the last days, for the vision pertains to the days yet future. Now, when he had spoken to me according to these words, I turned my face toward the ground and became speechless. And behold, one in the likeness of the sons of men was touching my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke and said to him who was standing before me, O my Lord, as a result of the vision that appeared, pains have come upon me, and I have retained no might. Now, how can such a servant of my Lord talk with such as my Lord? As for me, right now, no might stands within me, nor does any breath remain within me. Then this one with the appearance of a man touched me again and strengthened me. And he said, O man of high esteem, do not be afraid. Peace be with you. Gather strength and be strong. Now as soon as he spoke to me, I received strength and said, May my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Then he said, Do you know why I came to you? But I shall now return to fight against the prince of Persia. So I am going forth, and behold, the prince of Greece is about to come. However, I will tell you what is inscribed in the writing of truth. Now there is no one who exerts strength with me against these forces except Michael, your prince. That's all the notes to here. Let's move on to Psalm 119. How blessed are those whose way is blameless, who walk in the law of Yahweh. How blessed are those who, you know what? There's a ton of great notes that open this section. I'm going to go ahead and scroll back so you can see them. I just want to make sure you don't lose these. It's a great section of notes. Just slowly scrolling through so you can grab them all. As a note, every time you read the term blessed in here, you can also read, oh, how happy. It's the same term. Back to verse 1. How blessed are those whose way is blameless, who walk in the law of Yahweh. How blessed are those who observe his testimonies. They seek him with all their heart. They also do not work unrighteousness. They walk in his ways. You have commanded us to keep your precepts diligently. O may my ways be established, to keep your statutes. Then I shall not be ashamed when I look upon all your commandments. I shall give thanks to you with uprightness of heart. When I learn your righteous judgments, I shall keep your statutes. Do not forsake me utterly. How can a young man keep his way pure? By keeping it according to your word. With all my heart I have sought you. Do not let me stray from your commandments. Your word I have treasured in my heart, that I may not sin against you. Blessed are you, O Yahweh. Teach me your statutes. With my lips I have recounted all the judgments of your mouth. I have rejoiced in the way of your testimonies, as much as in all riches. I will muse upon your precepts and look upon your ways. I shall delight in your statutes. I shall not forget your word. These are all started with the letters of the Hebrew alphabet in order. The first section was Aleph. The second section, beginning in verse 9, was Beth, continuing now in verse 17 with Gimel. Deal bountifully with your slave, that I may live and keep your word. Open my eyes, that I may behold wonderful things from your law. I am a sojourner in the earth. Do not hide your commandments from me. My soul is crushed with longing for your judgments at all times. You rebuke the arrogant, the cursed, who stray from your commandments. Take away reproach and contempt from me, for I observe your testimonies. Even though princes sit and talk against me, your slave muses on your statutes. Your testimonies also are my delight. They are my counselors. That's it for today. That's all the reading and all the notes. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold, the word of the Lord.